Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. Last month, almost exactly a month ago, while we were visiting the beautiful city of Bremen in northern Germany, I had to go for the very first time to an emergency room in Germany. So I went to a German hospital and went to the emergency room and had to get treated. So I spoke about it and we recorded that while we were in Bremen. I talked about it right there. I'm going to share my experience with you. So we're going to play that video telling you how the experience was. And then I'm going to come back and give a little recap. We're going to talk about the costs, and we're going to compare the costs of that experience in Bremen with what it might be like if I had to go to the emergency room in the United States. So I'll be back in a few minutes to discuss that with you. All right, so here we are back in Bremen. All right, so yesterday I woke up and my right eye was irritated a little bit. And I didn't really think much of it. It felt like maybe something was in my eye, maybe an eyelash or, maybe some dirt or something. It didn't really hurt too bad. I took a shower, tried to wash it out, but I couldn't rinse it out, whatever it was that was in there. But yeah, again, I didn't think much of it. But then as the day went on, it got worse and worse, and my eye got worse, my eye got red, my eye started swelling up, and it became really painful later in the day. So finally by around 3 o'clock, or so, well, so first off, in the morning, after breakfast, we went to a pharmacy and kind of told them what was going on. I told them I thought something was in my eye. They gave me some drops to put in there, and it seemed to help a little bit at first, but they didn't last very long. And then so later in the day, finally around 3 o'clock, I was like, man, I think I got to go to the hospital. I have to do something. I have to see a doctor. So we went to another pharmacy and told them what was going on, and they gave us a recommended eye doctor to go to, and it wasn't far from the pharmacy. We went there, and they were closed. They didn't have a doctor on duty. So we went back to the pharmacy, said, okay, can you recommend another place? They sent us to another place. And again, that place didn't have a doctor on duty, but we were able to call their office, and they said, well, we have another office. You can go there, and they have a doctor. They'll be able to see you. So we start going towards that place. And that's a pretty good far away from where we're at. So we start walking. We get about halfway there or so, and I'm trying to call them. Betty's trying to call them. They didn't answer. Finally, we got a hold of them. They answered, and they said they're completely booked up. They're full. They can't see me. And they said they're sorry, and so they recommend we go to the hospital. So they told us to go to the St. Johannes Clinicum, the St. Johannes Hospital, to the emergency room. And that was far. So we got on the public transportation. We got on the tram, and Bremen has great public transportation, by the way. So we got on the tram, went to the hospital, and checked in. It was a little bit of a hassle. We had to go to one place and check in, tell them what was wrong with me. They filled out a slip for me, and then I went to another place, and I had to pay money before anybody saw me. And then so we paid, did some more registration. That was 50 euro. So I had to pay 50 euro. They only take cash or EC cards. Now, an EC card is kind of like a European debit card. So they don't take regular credit cards. Luckily, I had my EC card with me. So I paid 50 euros. Then I waited. And then I didn't have to wait too long. I kind of was treated by a triage nurse, asked me what was going on, and they gave me some drops for the pain right away, and that helped tremendously. That made it feel a lot better. And so then we waited, and I guess the whole time it was about 2 hours before. So the whole time at the hospital, it was about 2 hours until I was seen by the doctor. Went back, and it was an ophthalmologist who saw me, which I thought was pretty good care. She looked in my eye and said, actually, you have an infection. There was nothing in there. My eye was infected. I don't know how that happened, but it kept getting worse and worse and worse throughout the day. And by the time I finally saw the doctor, I could barely open my eye at all. So she gave me some drops. She gave me 2 types of drops, an antibiotic and another for the pain. Told me to take them 4 times a day. We went home. I've been taking the drops, and so that was like 24 hours a day, 24 hours ago, and I feel so much better. I mean, it's really worked. So a couple things. Number one, thanks to the staff at the St. Johannes Hospital. Your emergency room staff and the ophthalmologist did a great job. Thanks for taking care of me. My eye feels a lot better. And the second thing is, am I going to get another bill? Because I can't imagine all of that treatment, the medicine, seeing the doctor and everything was only 50 euros. So if it was, that's got to be the greatest bargain in all of medicine. But I suspect I'll probably get another bill. I mean, it's not going to be anything like going to the emergency room in the United States. I know that for sure. But I have to imagine I'm going to have to pay a little bit more than 50 euros. Of course, I'll send that to my insurance. And hopefully most of that will be covered by my insurance company, but still remarkably cheap. What a value. Great service. I was really very happy. And it's a good thing we got there when we did, because by the time we left, when we got there, the emergency room, there weren't very many people there. There were a few. There were 5 people before me. But by the time we left, the entire emergency room and the overflow area was packed to the gills. So I'm glad we got there when we did. But that was my first ever visit to an emergency room in Germany, here in Bremen. And honestly, as far as going to the hospital goes, which is never very fun, it was a pretty good experience, I would have to say. Thanks. Okay, so now you know what my experience was like. I went to the emergency room for an acute eye infection. And I have to say, I thought the experience, as far as going to the emergency room, I thought the experience was really good. I thought the care I received was top notch. Felt like I didn't have to wait very long in the emergency room. And I was really impressed that I was actually seen by an ophthalmologist. So an actual eye specialist came in to look at my eye. And yeah, I thought the care was great. So it's been almost a month to the day since I went to the emergency room, and I have not received any other bills. So I'm starting to assume that my actual final cost is going to be the 50 euro that I paid at the hospital. Now, I will submit that to my insurance company, and I should get most of that reimbursed. I'll probably have to pay, I won't get all of it reimbursed, but most of it I will get reimbursed. I've been waiting to send that in. I've been waiting on the rest of the bill that I thought I might get, but at this point, I think I'm not getting it. So 50 euro to go to the German emergency room, be treated by an ophthalmologist, and walk out the door with 2 medications. I think that's a bargain, 50 euro. Now, I've been kind of wondering, how would that compare to going to the emergency room in the United States? So, with the help of the internet, I've done a little bit of research. I've looked at a few websites, and so I'm going to quote some numbers that I found from the website bettercare.com. And there's some other websites, and all the numbers that I found are pretty similar, but this is directly from bettercare.com. So the average visit to an emergency room in the United States is $2,100. All right, so that's quite a bit more than 50 euro. On average, the minimum that you're going to pay is going to be about $500. The maximum can be over $20,000, depending on what you're seen for, obviously. Now, most people have health insurance in the United States that will pay most of those costs. But if you didn't have health insurance and you just went in and paid it, on average, you'd pay $2,100. Now, with insurance, what most people are going to end up paying, so after the insurance pays its part, most people in the U.S. are going to end up paying $50 to $500, somewhere in that range per visit to the emergency room. That's after insurance pays. So you still might be paying $500 for your emergency room visit, even after your insurance pays its part. Another in the United States, another option that we have is called going to what we call an urgent care clinic. And so these are, they're kind of like emergency rooms, but it's for urgent care. It's for acute things that probably won't result in like loss of life or loss of limb or something like that. Something less urgent, or something less serious than an emergency, you can go to an urgent care clinic. And these are significantly less expensive than an emergency room, but you can't find them everywhere. And when they are at a place, their hours might be limited. So they're probably not open 24 hours a day. So you still might end up going to an emergency room. Now, the average cost of an urgent care clinic is going to be between $50 and $150. So they're considerably cheaper than an emergency room. But again, it depends on what you're going to get, what kind of treatment you're going to get. Now, when you go to the emergency room, factors that affect the price in the United States, some of these are pretty obvious, right? So the level of care you receive, what they're doing to you, what medicines you receive, what tests you get, and all that type of stuff, how serious you're injured, all that's going to affect the price. But something that, and also an ambulance ride. So if you have to ride an ambulance in the United States, that can be incredibly expensive. Maybe up to several $1,000s. So some people take great lengths to avoid riding in an ambulance in the United States. So according to our research, if you have to ride in an ambulance in Germany, you're going to pay somewhere between €10 and €50. Unless it's deemed an absolute emergency, then it's going to be free. You're not going to pay anything. Your insurance will pick it up. So the costs are quite a bit different for an ambulance in the United States versus Germany. But the one thing that I thought was kind of weird that affects the price of your emergency room visit in the United States is the time of day you go. So if you go at night, prices very well might be more expensive than they are during the day, which seems kind of weird because you're much more likely to need emergency care at night, right? Because your other options for treatment are probably going to be closed or may be closed. So that seemed kind of strange that the time of day would affect the price of your emergency room visit. Now, to sum it up, again, I was very happy with the treatment I received. It was a little frustrating at first, as I said in the video, bouncing around between the pharmacies and going to the different eye clinics, and their doctors were on holiday or whatever, and then or they weren't there, or they couldn't see me, and then going to different places and trying to get contact with them through the phone was difficult. But once I finally got someone that said, hey, just go to the emergency room, and once I got there, I thought it was great treatment, so very happy with it. And a €50 treatment at the emergency room I thought was great, and I felt better within hours, right? So so appreciate you guys watching this video. Let us know what you think. If you liked it, if you found it interesting, hit the like button. If you really liked it, hit that hype button and try to hype our video. And let me know in the comments, what experience do you have with going to the emergency room? And have you paid for treatment in an emergency room? If you're from outside of Germany, what do you think about the price I paid? I thought it was a great price. And that's before I've sent it to my insurance. But let me know, do you think it was a good price? Do you think it was extremely cheap? Do you think it was a little too much? Anyway, so we appreciate your support, appreciate you watching, and we hope you found this interesting. We'll see you next time.